Hey everyone, so I want to talk about Lionsgate. There's a lot that's going around social media on this right now, but I think it's important as you move through your spiritual and energetic practices to understand the astrology that is at play today and tomorrow that's sitting behind this energetic portal. So let's talk a little bit about Lionsgate first. This is really a tradition that hailed from the Egyptian cultures because there was alignment with the sun and the star Sirius. And when that happened, the morning of it, it created, there's a flooding of the Nile, which they received as a sign of fertility, of rebirth, and of renewal. So that's a little bit about the energy, right? It's kind of known as the spiritual sun. And then we have the numerology that comes into this, the 8-8 portal of abundance, and calling in, right, that same essence of fertility. However, looking at the astrology for today, and the reason I'm posting this is because it kind of came up in conversation with my girlfriends this morning. They're like, oh, what are you manifesting? And I said, well, I'm actually not. I'm going to use this energy a little differently. And I think it's really important, especially when these trends kind of pop up, to take a look at your personal energetics, your personal astrology, follow your own personal intuition, because the way that each of us are going to need to work with these things based on our personal charts, our intuition, and our feeling states, they're all going to be unique. So that's the first thing that I really encourage is, one, gather information, but two, feel into it. Like, your intuition knows what to do with these things. So let's talk a little bit about the astrology behind this. We have Mars, which is in Libra. It's in its detriment here. It's uncomfortable, it's conflicted, it really doesn't know what to do with the energy. And as such, Mars in Libra is not taking direct action, right? It's concerned about how things might look on the outside. It's concerned about pleasing others. So it's kind of sidestepping. And if there's any sort of tension around action to take, or maybe between interpersonal spaces right now, there can be this idea of like passive aggressiveness that kind of pops up, or hesitation, right, to decide something too quickly. And Mars is the god of war. It's traditionally ruled by Aries, which is a fast thinker, primal reactions to kind of acting on our instincts. Libra is like, hold on, we've got to weigh our options here. We've got to see what's going on, what's going to be the best course of action. There can be a tendency to want to make sure that they're not doing things that are, right, the Libra influence. We're not doing things that are going to rub other people the wrong way. So there's this need, right, to kind of keep the peace, keep balance and harmony with Mars and Libra. Mars is sitting in direct opposition today at a 0-degree aspect, right? So, and my, like, different astrologers practice different orb degrees. I practice mine between 0 and 3 degrees, between a super strong aspect and what I would consider maybe significant but still a little weaker on the 3 side. So we have direct opposition at 0 degrees to Saturn in Aries. Saturn traditionally is ruled by Capricorn, which makes a plan. It's all about the long-term game and the hard work that goes along with reaching our goals. Well, Saturn's in its fall here. Aries is a fire sign. It's starting again, right? It's action first. It's a little impatient. It can struggle to create stable structures here. And so Saturn is the god of karmic lessons, time. So we have the god of war that is in direct opposition in this tug of war with the god of karma. It just doesn't seem like a really auspicious astrological placement for me today, right? When you kind of look at those things, right? And so Saturn's also trying to work through in the sign of Aries. It rules our self-worth. It's our inner authority. It's our sovereignty. So in some states, maybe there can feel like there's maybe a little bit of oppression happening, whether that's internally, externally, and really, you know, I think with Mars opposite Saturn here, it can kind of lead to like you feeling like you have to find permission to act, And maybe fear of failure, right? Libra is ruled by Venus. It wants things to be pretty. And if we admit it, right, failure, while it's one of our greatest teachers, aesthetically, we're like, ah, shit, when that happens, right? It doesn't look pretty. So there can be a little bit of blocked momentum as we talk about the energy here. And then not to mention, you have Neptune that's in a 1-degree opposition with Mars. Neptune rules, right, the god of the sea. It's our emotions, illusion. It's all about chasing our dreams. So with this opposition, there might be misguided motivation about where you think that you should go. Maybe a little bit of martyrdom or people pleasing when they say, right, what's that expression? Don't should yourself. That might be coming up. So there could be this instance of maybe manifesting out of alignment with our highest soul self due to the influence of maybe the other or, right, what we think people are expecting around us, or maybe what we're considering we should be doing according to like societal standards, or maybe what we think is going to be the path of least resistance or create the most beauty. When in fact, Aries is like, you were born here by yourself, you're gonna die by yourself. Like you're on your own, kid, in how you're making these decisions, right? At the end of the day, it's you who needs to catch you and hold you, and it's you who's got to be happy with your decisions at the end of the day. So I just kind of wanted to provide that as a little bit of a map, a roadmap, and a little bit of a compass. So it's really important to understand your chart. Where do these transitions sit in your chart too? Because that's going to tell you a lot. If you have a lot of placements in the sign of Aries and Libra, I would look at what's sitting there, right? Are they malefic planets or aspects that are sitting there with Mars and Saturn as well? Do you have benefic planets that are sitting there, more like a Jupiter or Venus? So I think that the way and the conversations that are happening in your personal chart just makes a huge difference here. And so I'll give you an example, right? My second house sits in Libra, which rules, you know, my finances, my values. My 8th house sits in the sign of Aries, ruling others' resources, ruling a space of intimacy, deep rebirth through the psyche. And so I have my moon, which isn't making any direct aspects to this Mars-Saturn opposition, but my Eros is. That's my asteroid of passion, of desire, right? So there's some tension here between maybe feeling like I can't say what I need to say to keep, so I'm keeping the balance, or maybe not coming off too direct. But then there's Saturn that's sitting there saying, hey, you have clarity and self-sovereignty around what you desire, what you want, like be bold. So there's just this kind of middle ground that we're treading. And I think being that there might be this opposition, when we look at it like in the stance of where my stuff is, right, between, let's say job. So maybe manifesting, saying, oh, I want to call in, right, whatever this new thing is that might contribute towards, my financial well-being. Well, on a day like this, and there's an opposition, maybe it's something that I thought was going to be a good match, but in reality, it could be maybe like a mismatch, or even when we think about it in terms of like intimacy or relationship, right? Maybe it's like, oh, you think you might want this, but at the end of the day, maybe you get something different than you bargained for. Or perhaps there's a good karmic lesson in it. None of it's right or wrong. And I truly believe that spiritual practice, manifestation practices, it's all really personal. So I think listen to your personal compass and decide where you want to go from there. For me, I'm choosing to use this energy around storylines, patterns, behaviors, things like that, right? That I want to let go and push out of my energetic field versus what am I trying to call in. So because we do have the full moon in Aquarius tomorrow, that's an energetic release point. I think it's so important and significant for me personally, to focus on, what am I ready to move out of my field of energy to return towards my highest alignment and highest frequency. So just wanted to offer a little bit of insight there, and hopefully that helps you if you, if you're leaning into, the manifestation practices and you're feeling that, you're riding that wave, cool. If you're feeling something different, know that that's okay too, and follow what your intuitive guidance and your compass is telling you to do, because there's no wrong way to do this unless you are doing it out of alignment with your self-sovereignty and your truest desires.